What's up, guys? In today's video we're going to talk about my MK7 GTI. So pardon its filthiness today. It's been very pollen heavy. This tree has sprouted all of its leaves back, much to my dismay. We got a bumblebee in the area. You probably can't really see it on camera too well, but he's going to be our local guest for today. I'm usually terrified of these things, but the bumblebees aren't quite so bad. It's the yellow jackets that I have problems with. But anyway, so this is my MK7 GTI, and we're going to talk today because it has been around 3 months since I purchased this car. I believe that passed a couple days ago, but regardless, it's been about 3 months since I purchased my MK7 GTI. We're going to talk about all the things that I've really enjoyed with it, my opinions on it, and yeah, just how I've enjoyed the car. So first off, I want to start this video by saying thank you guys for all the support on the most recent caffeine and octane video, the Nissan Z video. That's the highest viewed video I've had in a very long time, so thank you guys for all the support on that. And I just can't be happier you guys were enjoying seeing the car up close. I was very awkward in that video because I was very tired. I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep the night before. I never sleep well before caffeine and octane, so it's always been a really big struggle of mine just to be able to, be, upbeat and excited on the mornings of caffeine and octane. So, of course, those cars were kind of the stars of the show that day, and all the other cars in the video were cool to see as well. So if you guys were in that video, if any of your cars were in that video, feel free to let me know in the comments about that video or this one, and show off your Instagrams and stuff like that so people can follow those builds. But anyway, thank you guys for the support on that. Let's get into today's video though. We're going to talk about my GTI. So of course, if you guys don't know, I bought this car back in January because I needed a new car for my job, and the Sport Track just unfortunately wasn't able to perform reliably anymore, and I just always kind of been leaning towards getting a new car ever since the transmission went out the first time, because you guys know my Sport Track, it went out twice, one of which was a very just unfortunate kind of scenario. The second time it about took the whole truck with it. So I was just like, I need something a bit more trustworthy that I can actually drive around and not have to worry about being stranded. Actually had air conditioning. And so I drove a GTI last year as a MK6, fell in love with it, bought the MK7 because I was able to afford the newer model. And yeah, so this is a 2017 GTI S trim. So it is base headlights, no sunroof, key ignition. I mean, it is the base, but I do absolutely just adore this car, and I've been really happy with it so far. I mean, I've put nearly 3,000 miles on it, and it had 28.6 I think when I got it, and I just rolled over 31,000 the other day. So I mean, I've driven a lot with this car, and it's probably about time to do an oil change, but I will get onto that later this week. It needs a couple other little baby maintenance things, but all stuff that I can easily take care of. But anyway, so let's talk about my opinions on the car. So like I've said, I have put 3,000 miles on this car since I got it, or nearly 3,000 miles, 2,000 some change. But my opinions on the car are just, it's so fun. There's not a lot of cars on sale today that are reasonably priced, feel efficient, and still fun, and are fairly new. I mean, this car, the asking price was $23,000, of course, with tax, title, and fee, whatever you want to call it. Out the door it was $26,000, and this car is just super fun. And there's not been a whole lot of cars I've driven that have just really evoked a lot of joy out of me from driving them, and this car is one of the few that has actually managed to just constantly bring smiles to my face. This car is just a blast, and then I can turn around and get 30 miles per gallon on the highway whenever I'm just trying to get to work and back, get to a job and back, court, whatever. And I think that's just amazing. This car just has a lot going for it, and I adore this thing. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. So let's talk about the things that have kind of been a bit of a thorn in my side with the car. First off, I would say the biggest thorn in my side really is just well, trying to think of one. It's actually a lot harder than I thought, because I don't really have a lot of negativity towards this car. I think I can think of two things that really bother me on this car, and that's the headlights and the volume knob. Because if you guys have never seen the GTI volume knobs or any of the other Volkswagens of this era, the volume knob is just a really peculiar thing. So this just drives my OCD crazy. So this isn't really that big of a deal, but the power symbol moves with the knob, and that bothers me because I'm OCD and I like that being constantly straight up. So yeah, 31,066 miles on the car. We haven't gotten to do a whole lot to it. So as much as I would have liked to have done a lot more to this car by now, unfortunately, I'm not quite so lucky. Again, pardon the car's just dirty as can be right now. The only mod we've done is the new speed P-Flow intake, and this thing is just bonkers. It's so loud, and I really enjoy that. It's just constant turbo noise, constant just blow off, or I guess diverter valve sounds. I mean, this car is just very talkative with this intake on it. I really like that factor. So yeah, I mean, that's the only mod we've gotten to actually do to the car so far, but I've got more on the way. I actually have the piping inside my house to do a resonator delete on this car, and then eventually I'm gonna do a downpipe. So yeah, I mean, the car has not had a lot done to it, but of course with my channel, you guys know that I take my time with building cars. I've never really been a let's build this in 3 weeks kind of thing. And so yeah, I mean, I've just really enjoyed it as a car. It's been really fun. The guys absolutely adore this thing. We did a photo shoot last week. I'll probably try to include some of those photos here in this video for you guys to see. My friend Michael and my friend Hayden in their S2000 and Speed 3 and all that kind of stuff. So what is to come now that we've gotten all of the kind of my opinions out of the way of the car? It's amazing. I adore it. Let's talk about the what's to come. So first off, we're gonna talk about some maintenance stuff because it's probably about time for an oil change on this thing, and it's getting near that 30,000. Like I said, it's rolled over 30,000 miles. So I'm gonna check up on the spark plug maintenance kind of stuff. I'm checking up really on just kind of the maintenance intervals. This is different from my Sport Track in a lot of ways. The Sport Track was very meticulous. It had to be maintained pretty well for it to continue to be as reliable as it was, which it really wasn't all that much, but when I first got it, it was fairly reliable. So I mean, it's just a matter of kind of keeping up with those intervals. I'm being a lot more stringent with this car than I was the Sport Track in the early years, at least. Towards the end of the time I had the Sport Track, I got pretty stringent with it and I was very on top of it. But this car, I'm being on top of it from the get-go. So I'm going to check spark plug intervals. It's probably about due for an oil change. And then probably something that I did not expect really be dealing with this soon is brakes. The front rotors in this car are shot, and I mean they're rough, as you guys can see. I bought the car like this. Again, I have not put that many miles on this car, so I don't know why the rotors are so bad already. They were always kind of just rough when I got it, so I'm thinking about probably just upgrading some slotted rotors just to kind of offset it for now. Just kind of do something basic. I don't need anything crazy. I don't need the big brake kit or anything like that. This car is not going to see extended track use. This car, the worst, is going to see autocross, and then a future project I'm going to buy in the future will be my actual bona fide track car. It will probably not be another Mark 7. I'm planning on it being an older car. Theoretically, I'd buy a Mark 4 R32 to go alongside this car, and that would be my bona fide track car, where this would be my daily and autocross vehicle. But we'll see where life takes us. Who knows, really. I make enough money where I could probably buy a Mark 4 R32 with like a Copart yard or something like that and rebuild it. I mean, that would be kind of a fun project, I'm just saying. But what else are we gonna do? So obviously this car is gonna be set up for stage 2. That's kind of my main focus with this car, is getting it prepared for HPA stage 2 setup. So I've already got the intake. I need the downpipe, and they recommend the intercooler. I don't know if that's the route I'm gonna take. It's not a bad idea to do, and I'm planning on doing it anyway because I want to do all of the mods that require the front bumper to come off all at once. So headlights, the intercooler, all that kind of crap, I want to do it all at once so the bumper comes off once, because bumpers aren't really meant to be taken off 1,000 times. So the less I have to take that off, the better. And I mean, obviously the car is going to get a lot of cosmetic work done. We're going to do the fog light flares, do a front splitter. We're going to do obviously the headlights, like I said, do side skirts, rear diffuser, wheels. Might lower it a little bit. I don't plan on lowering this car a whole lot because I mean, again, it's still my daily driver. I don't need it being terribly low. I need it to be functional, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. So I've also debated wrapping the car. I love the black, but as you can see, it's just an absolute nightmare to keep clean. This car is just constantly dirty. So I've debated on wrapping it Nardo Gray. Now the reason Nardo Gray was my choice, because for those who've watched my channel know my original intention before I bought this car was to get a Mark 8, and I was going to order a Mark 8 in gray, and it was going to be an SE trim with a leather seats package. It was going to be DSG, the 7-speed DSG. I think that's, I don't know the code for that transmission, but it was going to be the upgraded 7-speed Mark 8 with the Nardo Gray paint. I guess I forget what they call it, but it's not Nardo, but it's a similar shade. And that's kind of where I got the idea from. Wrapping this car Nardo was to kind of create what my Mark 8 would have been if I bought the Mark 8 and just, you know, in a Mark 7. I'm torn on headlights because the BMP Tuning sells 2 different styles for this car, and I love both of them. They have a Mark 7.5 style, and they have a what they call the new style, which is actually based on the Audi RS5 or S5 or A5, that model, the brand new Audi A4 and A5 models, and their headlight designs. So I've seen one video of them actually on a car. I've never seen them on a car outside of this one Instagram story that I screen recorded and saved because I wanted to see what they looked like on the car. And I actually kind of like them, and I think if I kept the car black, those lights would be for sure a shoe-in on this car. But I'm really torn about that. I'm planning on possibly going with the Mark 7.5s unless I see more with the Audi lights and I can kind of decide if that's really something I like. Of course, like I said, we're going to do some minor exhaust work to this car. We're going to do a resonator delete and a downpipe. It's going to be a catted downpipe. I don't want this car to be obnoxiously loud. I honestly don't like loud GTIs. I think that it's not a good sound for me. They're very buzzsaw, very tractory when they get really loud. And so I wanted kind of a tame, kind of low grumble and more function than I wanted straight noise. So again, this is another car. The other thing, I daily drive this car. It's a 4-cylinder. I don't need it being terribly loud. So catted downpipe, we'll do a resonator delete, stock back end, so the stock muffler, and we're going to do some exhaust tips because that one of my sore points, I guess you could say, cosmetically with this car is the stock tips. I really don't like the stock exhaust tips. Of course, HPA is going to be doing all the work on this car. So once I can get the money together, actually buy their parts because they're actually fairly expensive, this car will be done up in that regard. The wheel choice I've made is pretty nice. Of course, I go back and forth on wheels all the time, but I'm currently looking at some ESR. I forget what the number is on them. I think they're SR05s. And I really like them. They're gunmetal. They're 5-spoke wheels. I guess 10-spoke. I don't know. They're twin 5-spoke. You get what I mean. I'm not good with wheels. They're going to be 18 by 8.5. So this car will be able to run 255s on it, which is or 245, 255, somewhere in there, which is kind of ideal for grip. This car, again, is going to see a lot of autocross, so I want this car to be dialed in perfectly. But anyway, that is the end of my 3-month review and kind of just a basic what's to come on the car. So like I said, this car is absolutely amazing and I absolutely adore this thing. If you guys haven't already, go check out a Mark 7 GTI. If you're in the market for a new hot hatch, definitely give it a shot. This car is not for everyone. A lot of people don't like the DSG. A lot of people do, like me. I adore this transmission. That's one thing I would not change if I went back and bought this car again. I would still get the DSG because it's just a very evocative, just talkative transmission. The DSG farts are really fun. And I mean, this car is just great. If you haven't already though, if you're planning on buying a hot hatch, at least give it a try. Some people, like I said, it's not going to be for everyone. It's a very basic car in terms of appearance. It's not very shouty. It's not like a Civic Type R where it's very out there. It's not like a Veloster where it's got a lot of just play to it. I mean, it's a very Audi-ish kind of experience. I mean, it's just a baby Audi in a lot of ways. So, you know, give it a try. Some people are going to love it like I do. Some people are not going to be a big fan of it, but give it at least a try. But for now, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content coming soon on the Mark 7 GTI as we get ready to do more stuff to it. But anyway, guys, have a great day. I'll see you guys next time.